In the science lesson shown here, a Year 8 class is studying an explanation of the water cycle. The teacher has read the text carefully and has identified two aspects of the cycle as water moving through the environment and changing state from liquid to gas and back to liquid. She's also identified 3 steps in the explanation, including evaporation of water from oceans, lakes and rivers, condensation of water vapour in clouds, and precipitation of water as rain, ice or snow. In preparing for reading, she uses a diagram from the textbook to orally explain the sequence of events. By combining oral explanation with visual support, she builds the student's background knowledge at the same time as summarising the sequence in which the text unfolds. As she does so, she engages the students by asking them to identify features in the diagram, to say the technical terms aloud, and to label them in their own copies. She also asks the class to think about features of the cycle, and she relates them to both the technical field and their own experience. In this way, the students become familiar with the sequence of the text and some key terms before it's read.
So what we're going to look at today is the water cycle. We've been talking a lot about how unique and special the planet Earth is. So what we want to look at is one of the key elements to that. And so we're going to look at how the water gets cycled around and can move through lots of different places. So what we're going to talk about first is summarised all in our diagram here on the board. Where have we got water? Then we named some of the specific places. Rodney?
Ocean.
Okay, so we've got the ocean labelled. Eamon?
River.
Rivers, shown on the diagram.
Lake.
And the lakes. What type of water is it there? Think back to our states of matter, solid, liquid, gas. What are we talking about in rivers, lakes and ocean?
Liquid.
We're talking about liquid, thanks. What makes it go up into the sky? Eamon?
Water vapor.
Okay, so it's becoming water vapour over here. Excellent. If we look at this, their label here, water evaporates from oceans, land, forest, farms, lakes, rivers, swamps. So we're talking about it evaporates, and I'll change that into a noun to change it into the process of evaporation. So I'm going to write that up here. Can you all say that for me? Evaporation. Okay, so we've got evaporation. It's gone from liquid water to water vapour, to water as a gas. We can't see water vapour, but we can see clouds. What's happening back in a cloud? Rodney?
It's working straight into cloud and doesn't look like rain this stuff.
Okay, that's right. And so what state of matter are we in when it's raining? The water is not a gas anymore, is it? It's gone back to a liquid. Thank you, Jeremy. That's great. Okay, that's called condensation. Yes, please. So that's what's going up on the clouds. So we've had the water start as liquid, it's gone up into the atmosphere as water vapour as a gas, and in forming the clouds, it'll come back again into a liquid. So this is condensation. When it rains, on your sheet there is a technical word already that has the ION ending. If we look here at this label, precipitation. Well done. Okay, let's say that one together. Precipitation. Good. Okay, so that's the technical name now. Rather than just saying that it rains, to make our understanding a little bit more scientific, we want to name the process properly. So we're going to talk about precipitation. It might end up going down and becoming part of our underground water system, or it might end up flowing straight back through into rivers and lakes, and then we can start again. It cycles through. And so that's the main idea for today's lesson, is that we're looking at the water cycle as a whole. Okay? Alright, so let's have a look at the text itself. It's an explanation of the water cycle, and so it's going to go through step by step how we talk about it. Okay, so if I just kind of summarise it for you, basically it says what we've just talked about in the diagram. So we've had the water start as liquid, it's gone up into the atmosphere as water vapour as a gas, and in forming the clouds, it'll come back again into a liquid. If it gets high enough up into the atmosphere and gets really, really cold, then we might get snow or sleet coming out of the clouds, but mainly we'll get rain.
As this text is quite technical, it's read paragraph by paragraph rather than all at once. The teacher first prepares each paragraph with a brief summary of what it's about, and then reads it as the class reads along. Alternatively, students may take turns to read paragraphs aloud if they're confident readers.
So the first paragraph is our introduction. Okay, so it's the phenomenon. It's telling us what it is that we're going to explain. So it talks about the fact that water is there and it's always moving, always changing. So the first paragraph, I'll read it out to you if you can just follow along. Water is found in many different forms on Earth and is constantly moving from one place to the other. As it moves, it changes state in cycles, from liquid water to water vapour, sometimes to ice, and back to liquid again.
After reading each paragraph, key meanings may be discussed. This discussion may include giving names to parts of the text. Here, the teacher names the first paragraph as the phenomenon that the text explains. She writes this on the board, and the students label the paragraph in their books. This will be very useful when they come to write a new text.
Okay, so let's label that first paragraph as the phenomenon. Go, Rodney, nice and loud.
Phenomenon.
Thank you. Okay, so looking at the first paragraph, it's the phenomenon. Let's say that together. 1, 2, 3.
Phenomenon.
Okay, so that's where we identify what it is we're talking about. So if you can write it beside your text in the margin, that it is the phenomenon, that first paragraph. Okay, so now the text has identified what it's going to explain to us, it starts going through it step by step.